What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Pumping out 3 videos a week right now, so we don't want you guys to miss out on any of those. If you guys are new to my page in general, check out our members only page. We got a few extra videos, some live streams, some cool stuff going on over on the members only page, so check that out as well. Man, the season is rolling along quick. Currently, I'm sitting in the boat. I just finished packing things up for Florida. We're heading to the Harris Chain. That's what this video is going to be about. A little preview of Stage 2 on the Bass Pro Tour, the Harris Chain of Lakes. It's an interesting time right now, so we're going to dive in and give you my thoughts on what I think, how it's going to go down. All right, so, I've really been following the weather in Florida for really probably the last month, honestly. I've been paying close attention. I went down and did a little pre-practice on the Harris Chain just because that's a fishery where it's always changing. They may spray the grass in one lake and not the other lake, and, the water clarity changes, the habitat changes. And even now, this year we're faced with a few fish kills. There was a big fish kill on Lake Eustis when I was down there. And now, as we're getting ready to leave for this event, there's a fish kill going on Lake Apopka where a lot of fish are showing up dead. So there's, a lot of variables in play on the Harris Chain. But like I said, back to the weather looks beautiful. It is stable. It's about 80 every day, low in the 60s, sunny. Minimal wind, it looks like, for the foreseeable future, and that's exactly what you want heading into Florida. You don't want those major cold fronts that really, hold up those fish. They really affect Florida bass a lot more than anywhere else in the country. Those cold fronts do some damage to those fish and really, change things and change their mood and how they're biting. So we got stable conditions, which should be pretty good. Obviously I said it's pretty warm and sunny. So this time of year, I think there's a full moon coming this week of the event. You gotta think about spawning fish. There's gonna be a lot of fish spawning. So that's kind of how I feel like this event is gonna go down. There's gonna be a big wave of fish that have pushed up shallow, whether you're visibly sight fishing them in the canals or, behind the Kissimmee grass or whatever, or fishing for spawning fish that you can't see, in lily pads or whatever, reeds, that type of cover that you can't quite see where they're spawning, but they're up in that shallow cover and they're spawning. That's one pattern I think is probably going to dominate this event, is fishing for those fish that are spawning or very close to spawning that, you just can't quite see. The sight fishing gets a little tricky just because, you could see a great big one on the bed, but in the every fish counts format, catching that one giant fish isn't quite as important in a 5-fish tournament. So it's going to be a lot more about getting bites. So for me, I'm going to look for more of those areas where I can just catch them kind of pitching around and not actually sight fishing them, because it may take quite a while to catch that one fish, and time is going to be important in the Harris Chain event. Now, other patterns, obviously there's some offshore grass. There's some hydrilla in a few of the lakes, so you're going to see guys catch them on, the same moving baits you always see in Florida. The chatterbait, the Zako trailer on there, that's what I'm going to be throwing. A speed Cinco or any type of swim worm, that's just a staple in Florida for that offshore grass type fishing. So that's another pattern you're going to see. And then, obviously with the warm conditions, topwater is going to be a big player, whether it's for those spawning fish, throwing a prop style bait, prop bait, popper, frog. There's going to be some really cool bites on topwater, and that's something I'm excited about is obviously catching some on topwater, but for you guys, the fans watching the event, there's going to be some exciting fish catches. So it's going to be pretty cool event in Florida. Like I said, we got perfect weather to be bass fishing in Florida. Now, let's check out the Deep Dive app and get a little more in-depth on a few things. Like I said, I love using this Deep Dive app for my breaking down my practice. I always go to the wind effects app first. And, you can just see perfectly the direction of the wind, what areas are calm, what areas are too windy to fish. And the wind plays a big factor in the Harris chain of lakes just because it's so shallow. It can stir up areas and then you might not be able to fish. So as we move on, practice starts on Monday. It looks like we got a north wind out of 3 miles an hour. Just a beautiful day of fishing. Tuesday, it switches to the south, so it's a little bit windier. You can kind of see some areas here on Lake Harris where that wind would be crashing into the northern shoreline there and may affect things a little bit different. You know, Wednesday, it looks the same. Thursday, first day of the event, we got that south wind pretty strong. So I'm just going to have to kind of game plan that into practice. Now, you know, that you could change over to Lake Apopka, see the same thing. So now I can see that northern shoreline on Apopka is going to be pretty windy on the tournament day. So, you know, I don't want to be fishing real shallow up there on that tournament day because that wind is going to be blowing pretty good that day. Now, another cool map on the Deep Dive app is called the Stream Flow app. Now, I already know this information because I've been to the Harris chain a few times, but if I had never been here before, this is something that's really cool. You can actually see the direction of flow of water. So the water actually flows from Apopka into Beauclair, into Dora, into Eustis, and then into Griffin and out the Ocklawaha River, is how I believe you say that. So you can just kind of see the direction the water is naturally flowing. And then from Harris, it flows into Eustis and then into Griffin and out the river as well. So you can see that direction of flow. And you can actually kind of get a gauge on how much flow there is. You know, the Stream Flow app gives you an average of the flow here recently. So if there was a bunch of current, you would know to start looking at those current breaks, those shell beds, that type of stuff. So that's just a cool new feature on the Deep Dive app that you can really dial in your fishery and see which way the water is flowing. Now the water clarity feature for the Harris chain, it's not really a big factor just because the water color is always sort of those same colors. You know, it's not like they get a bunch of runoff and muddy water in there. So things are going to be pretty stable on the water clarity side of things. But hopefully we can use that wind effects feature to kind of game plan an area we need to be for day one of the event. And day two. I mean, we got to catch some fish in this one. You know, we kind of stubbed our toe a little bit at Lake Conroe, finished middle of the pack. So we're looking for a rebound here at the Harris chain and get things rolling in the right direction. So appreciate you guys tuning in for this video. Hopefully you learned something. If you're interested in checking out the Deep Dive app, check the link in the description down below. You can check that out. It is, like I said, it is a app that I use every single tournament that I launch the boat. I use that app in one way or another to help game plan my tournament, and it is a must-have for all bass fishermen out there. So appreciate you guys. As always, leave those likes, comments down below, and we'll see you guys on the water at Harris Chain.